Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Fuego here.
Here to do another patron-requested review. This one was requested by Scuba Steve.
Ooh, Scuba
Steve. This is going to be kind of a double-up review. So we are going to be reviewing Tales from the Darkside today. And then tomorrow we're going to drop our review of the Tales from the Darkside comic book or graphic novel that was made by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez of Lock and Key fame.
We just met Joe Hill.
Indeed. So it's going to be a Darkside couple of days here, but we're going to start with this one. So Fuego, why don't you let everyone know what Tales from the Darkside is about?
Yeah, so Tales from the Darkside was essentially... In some ways, what's his name? Tom Savini has described this as the third Creepshow film, like the actual third one. There is a Creepshow 3, had nothing to do with any of the people in the previous two installments, so I reviewed it for Hail to Stephen King, and boy is it a clunker. But this is actually quite good, and it does, in fact, still adapt a Stephen King story, despite the fact that the other two are of different origin. And you've got one of the something brothers. What the hell are their names? I'm trying to remember. From the Brotherly Love. You're looking at me
Brotherly
like I should.
Love. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
I don't watch that.
Well, in any event, Debbie Gibson from whose name I can actually remember. She
goes by Deborah now.
Oh, really now? Well, from
she does
Blondie.
not do Debbie anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, Deborah is a modern day witch, and Matthew Lawrence. That's right, the Lawrence brothers. You know, the one who was on Blossom, who was like, whoa, his younger brother.
Oh,
yeah,
Joey
and
Lawrence.
they
Everyone
and they
knows
had a
Joey
show,
Lawrence. Who
Joey
knows that
Lawrence.
there was a little brother?
There was a little brother, and there was like three brothers, and they had a show called Brotherly Love. It was a sitcom on ABC. Anyway, never mind. The younger brother is he is going to be thrown in the oven by Deborah Gibson of Blondie because she's a modern day witch, and she's going to cook him for this dinner party. And so that is the wraparound. And to distract her, he's like, let me tell you a story before you throw me in the oven and cook me and kill me and everything. And she's like, oh fine, I like stories, blah blah blah. And so we segue into three different ones. The first one being with none other than Steve Buscemi. You have a young, what is Red's name from Boogie Nights that I love so much? Goodness, man, we just can't remember.
Boogie Nights.
Not Heather Graham, but
I don't reference Boogie Nights. I watched it once.
Dirk Diggler. Anyway,
Mark Wahlberg? That's not him.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg was in there?
Boogie Nights, he's the star.
No, he wasn't in Tales from the Darkside.
No. I was saying the redhead who's in it, whose name neither of us can apparently remember. I
didn't even remember there was a redhead outside of Heather Graham in that movie. So.
Okay, well, in any event, okay, so we basically have we have a couple students who are trying to take credit, if I recall correctly, for some work in this Egyptian studies course that they're doing. Now am I kind of jogging your memory?
You're thinking of
the Tales from the Crypt.
She was in Hannibal, dude.
Yeah,
She's been in everything.
Neither you or I can remember her name.
Why can't I think of her
I know,
name?
it's killing me
Julianne
right now.
Moore.
Julianne Moore. Yes, Julianne Moore is in this. Steve Buscemi is in this. I believe we have Christian Slater in this, if I recall correctly, because it's been a few weeks since I've watched it. Anyway, it's
Julianne Moore has a lot better movies to reference than the one you picked. That's
Boogie
like,
Nights.
What? But yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry, that's too funny.
Yeah.
We were grasping.
Yeah, so it's really kind of your standard, clashing students, and one who has been, picked on and had work, taken from him, and using a mummy to extract revenge. Very similar to a Tales from the Crypt episode as well, where there's this young girl who is kind of being manipulated in a similar fashion. The revenge aspect is obviously fun, and Buscemi gets his due to a degree, but I mean, it's not my favorite of these three stories is the final one, and so the first has always been less memorable in comparison with The Cat from Hell, which is the second one, which was the Stephen King pen story, and then the third one, which was based on a Japanese just old folk tale of sorts. I don't know that the
I
first
think it goes from
installment,
worst
at
to
least,
best. I didn't like the first one very much at all. I thought the Mummy one was stupid. Outside of the star power involved, I thought it was a stupid story.
Yeah, and all three of them being much younger in Buscemi and Slater and Miss Moore and whatnot. But honestly, the second one is the one that I do enjoy talking about because I feel like it's at least so over the top in its silliness, and that's The Cat from Hell. It was originally published as a short story in the 70s. It was collected finally in Just After Sunset for Stephen King. and which was a short story collection in the 2000s. So it took him a long time to actually try to get this off the ground, and it was originally going to be in the second Creepshow movie, but it was omitted for time constraints, which is why they went from 5 stories like in the first Creepshow to 3 stories in the sequel. And so Cat from Hell was originally supposed to be there, and that one is about this elderly man who is positive this black cat that is in his home has been slowly picking off, you know, the other members of his home, siblings and whatnot, and in turn is going to kill him. So he brings on like a hired, like, prime time legit assassin, like hitman, to kill a cat. And of course the hitman is just flabbergasted, and he's like, this is the silliest, stupidest thing I could ever be asked to do. But as you pull like some of the layers back and realize the elderly man's presumed just motivation for why he thinks the cat's trying to kill him, he owns a pharmaceutical company. The pharmaceutical company gave all of these test drugs out that took lives of many people, and he thinks there is some sort of correlation and connection. It's really silly until the very, very end when we see where this cat comes from at the very, like, the last shot is ridiculous of this cat coming out of a person. That's, I guess, as far as I can go without spoiling too much, and even that's maybe mild in that regard. But it's not one of my favorite Cy King stories, but it is grisly and silly. I know you like cats. Did that elevate the story a little bit for you?
I mean, a little bit. It was still kind of silly practical effects and stuff, so I thought it was, I thought this one was okay, but I liked it better than The Mummy, but worse than the third story, so it was okay. It was just such a silly premise, you know. Yeah. But let's talk about the third story. The
third story is the absolute best, and the one that I remember very distinctively when I watched this as a kid at a friend's house. And so there's this artist, and you know, he's down on his luck. He's having issues with his agent. He's trying to gain some success. He's presumably in like New York or Chicago, one of those like dirty, grimy, gross cities. In that
doesn't matter. Keep going.
Okay, it does not matter. All right, sorry. So essentially, he's like going through the alley, and he sees this big gargoyle creature killing somebody, and he witnesses it all transpire, and the gore is actually pretty nasty in that particular segment, which
and
is
the creature's cool.
Looks
it's a
very
giant
dope.
Practical creature.
Greg Nicotero, you know, who went on to do The Walking Dead. He worked on various Nightmare on Elm Streets, tons of stuff with Savini and Romero. I mean, he is all over the place. Also showrunner on the current Creepshow series for Shudder. But yeah, so when said artist witnesses this happen, and after the gargoyle discards the body, it goes up to him and says, "I will let you live if you promise to never tell a single soul that you witnessed this happen." And he's like, I swear, of course. And after this occurrence, his career turns around, and he meets a woman, and he starts a family, and he starts having, you know, a lot of his work purchased, and he has big exhibitions, and just everything starts going right. Until the twist, where he just feels the urge to finally make mention of it. He's been doing these little drawings that he hides from his family and his wife and everything. And
and he's so in love with this woman that he just feels like there's one thing that he never told her.
And he met her the same night.
After,
the
right. Well, because he was trying to save her because he knew what was on the loose. And so, unfortunately, he comes clean, and it does not go well. And again, leads to some really cool practical effects, especially considering there's a little bit extra regarding family members and stuff that we get. So I love this story. As soon as it started, I watched it, and then the thing said, "Don't tell anyone," and then he found the girl, and I was like, "Oh, that's right."
They do telegraph it a wee.
But I had seen it before when I was younger, so I remembered it. I was like, "Oh, she's gonna be it, isn't she?"
Yeah.
And so I just watched it play out, and I was like, "Yes, that's so good."
Yeah,
I loved it. I love this story. It makes the whole movie totally worth it.
It does. And as a kid, the twist really shocked the hell out of me. It is so in the vein of some of the best Tales from the Crypt episodes, and I mean, to a lesser degree, Tales from the Darkside, which had much less terrific episodes, because after the 2 Creepshow films, you know, they did a Tales from the Darkside TV series that was made for TV and not able to go R-rated like this film and like the 2 Creepshow movies did.
The artist played by the actor, and this is my reference that I'll get.
I was trying to remember his name.
I don't know his name, but he's the dad on Dexter. So he's in...
I've seen him in so many things in the 80s and 90s.
He's been in a lot, but that's where I got to know him, where he was always the very low voice Dexter, you know, that kind of thing. So he's a really good actor. This was a really good story. So this story completely excuses and makes this movie own worthy, in my opinion.
I agree.
I really dig this story. The rest of them, the cat one's fun just because I'm a cat lover, and it's like, yeah, the cat's being really evil. The Mummy one I could really care less about. I'll probably, if I ever turn this movie on again and I remember, I'll just skip the Mummy one. But
yeah.
Overall, though, I'm glad it's out there.
Same, yeah, and I'm glad that they're at least trying to, resuscitate this sort of anthology storytelling, with great stuff like Tales from Halloween, Trick or Treat, about a decade or so ago. So I love this sort of, like, short form, give it 20, 30 minutes and see if you like it, and if not, you didn't waste the entirety of your viewing experience. So, yeah, I really dig this film, but especially the third installment. It's one of my favorites of anything in anthology horror I've ever seen.
So, as I said, stay tuned. Tomorrow we're going to be dropping our review of the Tales from the Darkside comic that was a 3-issue comic series by Joe Hill. Technically 4, but one of the issues was a 2-parter, so it's fun. It's a good thing to talk about, and it actually has a more interconnected tissue than even the movie does.
It does.
So we're excited to talk about that. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button and subscribe. Click that notification bell to make sure you don't miss that Tales from the Darkside review dropping tomorrow. If you want, also click the link to our Patreon. You can become a patron and request movies just like Scuba Steve did for this one. Thank you to him. Thank you to all of our patrons. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Rescue 7, Jaime, and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.